Hey guys, so in today's session we'll talk about Workday taxes for US, and followed by we'll start with the basic payroll processing, like the on-cycle payroll processing. Okay, so talking about the Workday taxes, if we typically go with the paychecks for US, you'll find out that these are the common taxes and insurance deductions, unemployment insurance deductions, Medicare, in the paycheck. So first is the federal income withholding tax. So that is the federal level tax which is deducted, and there is a calculation for that. And again, the IRS website gives a lot more information about that, what has to be deducted and how the tax is calculated. So I would suggest that you can visit that website, the Internal Revenue Service website. Then, but yeah, from our system perspective, we have a compliance dashboard where you can see the taxes for federal as well as state as well as local. I'll take you through that as well. Then you have the second, the OASDI. This is a very common insurance deduction. It's an employer and employee deduction, and that's a government like kind of a program which has been offered, and whereby people enroll for this particular program, OASDI, and it covers the old age survivor disability insurance, and whereby there is a deduction every month, every paycheck, pay period you can say, from the pay, and towards the end you get the benefit towards retirement or any day if any disability happens, you get the benefit for that by enrolling in that program. Then you have a Medicare also. This is from the US. So these are not any benefits you can say from the private vendor like Athena or any other company, and the sender or any company. It's a like government programs which are available, and people they enroll for these programs, and then there are deductions which happen on the paycheck. So third program is like Medicare US. So here if you see, just you can read through also, like on a paycheck, OSDI refers to the tax levied on earning that funds social security programs. So I think you guys must be aware of this, right? So the Medicare US, that is another kind of deduction which happens. Okay, it's a federal healthcare coverage program. So both the above contribution come under Federal Insurance Contribution Act.
Vaibhav, can you share the Word doc,
So
please?
when we say typically, sorry,
Can you
hello,
share the Word doc?
I'm sharing. Is it not visible?
No, I can see the tenant.
Is it? Hang on. Yeah, this is the doc. Can you see the doc? I think
Now,
somebody confirmed, right, that there is a. Okay, so everybody can see. What about
now I can see Vaibhav.
Ashish, Ashok?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Vaibhav.
Okay, okay, great. I thought okay, fine. So yeah, so do you want me to repeat what I said, or okay, we can continue?
I think we're okay. I mean, I was following, but I could not see. Yeah, that's why I
Okay,
asked.
so in general, what I'm trying to say here is I have just compiled it, and we have this set of federal, state, and local taxes, and you'll commonly find these deductions in the US employee paycheck. So federal income withholding taxes are like IRS regulated, and they need to be deducted from every employee, every US employee's paycheck. Then OASDA also very commonly you'll find in the paychecks, and there is like an employer and employee deduction. So a part of your pay goes into that, and you also will find this, and there are like kind of calculations and brackets, and which we can find in the system. So talking about OSDI, Medicare, for all these, like there are calculations and there are rules, and every tax updates, these rules will be applied to the Workday system. So we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to apply that. It's the admin role, the patches and the kind of releases which they need to apply. From a functional consultant perspective, what we need to do is we need to be aware that, okay, these are the various buckets of taxes. Okay, and if you are good at taxation, or if you have more interest in the taxation part, then definitely you should go to the IRS website and check what are the rules for these taxes or for these insurances, what kind of limits are there. So all these things are available there, and the same information gets updated through various tax updates and releases, which can be viewed in Workday via the compliance dashboard. So first, federal income withholding, we know. So second one is the insurance one, employee and employer deduction insurance. So that also is very common. Medicare also, you'll see, it's a federal healthcare coverage program. So that also is a kind of deduction you'll see in the paycheck. Okay, so there will be a lot of more deductions also based on where the employee is working or employee is located. But these are the, like, you can say, core ones, which are always, mostly you'll be finding in most of the paychecks, US paychecks. Okay, so then unemployment insurance. So that's also something, a federal program where eligible unemployed person receives a cash benefit for specified period of time. So as the definition is also indicating that when a person is unemployed for a certain period, then he gets a cover. And during when he is employed, he has to pay a kind of a amount from his paycheck to get that coverage. So that's the definition. Then unemployment insurance credit reduction. So this is optional. Okay, so here again you have to just go and check the rules. So there are rules between the state and the federal based on which the insurance credit reduction happen. I would not say that you go too deep into it at this point of time, because running the payroll and processing the payroll is important. These all kind of concepts will be kind of, you can say, you'll be coming across it while you're working. And for example, this tips, employee reported tips, right? If I talk about this, typically any North American consultant, right? Not all the North American payroll consultant for Workday will be knowing this. Somebody who is like has specifically worked in a tip processing industry will know more details about it. So this will be like, as and when like your customer demands or customer has that kind of a requirement, you will gain more knowledge about it. So additional Medicare also. Second one is state taxes. So state taxes, state income withholding. So this again is like at the state level you have taxes, including multi-state withholding taxes. Unemployment insurance also there. Again, federal unemployment insurance credit reduction is there. So all these are basically, you can say, kind of most of them are mandatory, but some are optional. Local taxes, city withholding, county. So I'm just taking you through a list of this. This you will find in the paycheck. How the tax is calculated. That is second topic. So calculation of the federal, state, and city withholding tax. So mostly the tax will be calculated with these steps. So first is we determine the taxable wage for the period. Okay, and then we analyze the amount. So if it is weekly, then it will be multiplied by 52, bi-weekly, then 26, like that. And on that analyzed amount only, we do the calculation. So the steps are here. Determine the taxable wages, analyze the tax, calculate the tax based on analyzed amount, de-analyze the tax result. So once you get the figures based on the analyzation, the amount has to be deducted as per the pay period, right? So then again, we have to de-analyze it. So that is the way we arrive at the correct figures. So that's a regular standard way of calculation within the payroll. Then there is a concept of minimum tax wage. where Workday delivers and maintains federal and state minimum tax wages values. So these can also be viewed using these reports, payroll tax authority minimum wages. So these are the minimum wages for the state. Then we have all payroll tax authority minimum wages. So if you see, to view the tax data for the employee, worker US tax election, payroll payee W4 withholding IRS report. So these are all reports which will have the minimum wages and various other tax related details. And when we come to the task, right, let's say typically what task a payroll administrator would be required to do. So this could be one, I just highlighted this. If you go through this, to correct the tax selections, access the worker US tax selection report in the first column, select the worker tax selection, edit the related action menu. So sometimes it could be the case that employee has opted, elected for various withholdings, right? But there could be a need that as an administrator, you may have to edit that, right? So in case that requirement is there and you get an email from the employee, then you can go to this option and you can change the worker tax election. Okay. And when, let's say, employee changes the company, okay. So in that case also, employee has already entered the tax elections previously, but now he has to, since the company has changed, either he has to re-enter or as a payroll admin, you will have to update based on the request from the employee. So there, that also something which you can do here. Okay. So this page is nothing but we're talking about that add worker tax election. Like for Canada, we talked about, right? Add the worker tax election from the self-service. So there we had a lot of personal tax credits which we had selected. So in US, what happens is we select the, like we add the withholdings. So it's, the concept is same basically, but what we are trying to do here is we are trying to take some tax credits or tax benefits, okay, based on some personal tax credit in Canada, personal income credit in Canada, and this withholding in US. So what is a withholding allowance? It refers to an exemption that reduces how much income tax an employer deducts from employee's paycheck. So just read through this, and I'll just come in a moment, one second. So just read through this, and this is a link, and this is a certificate based on which an employee enters his withholdings in US. And this certificate is available on this link. Just read through this. Okay, guys. So here, I hope you would have read through this, and so this is a withholding certificate, right, based on which an employee can estimate, right, what kind of withholdings he is supposed to, like number of withholdings he need to enter. So we'll quickly go to the tenant also. We'll just check where exactly this is entered. So from the employee perspective, the employee perspective, he has to enter via self-service the withholding elections, okay, based on whatever his current status is, and the current status can change also during the year, but for that also he can re-enter, but yes, in the initial part of the year he has to enter this withholding elections, and based on which his tax is calculated. So let me just share the tenant.
So, Vaibhav, whatever you just said is similar to TD1 form in Canada taxes, right?
Yes, yes, it is very similar to that. In Canada, what happens is employees, they fill the TD1 form for the non-Quebec provinces, and they just enter the same thing. I mean, just as we just saw on that day. I don't have the employee very handy here for Canada. Do you remember that employee ID? No.
Blair White.
Blair White. Okay.
Yeah.
Blair White. Okay, Blair. Actually, that is a problem in the GMS tenant also. We need to have the correct data also to show. Yeah. So here we saw, right? So I think we entered some, or we didn't. You. Yeah. So we had entered, I think, some 1/1/2009. So yeah, this is like I correlated it with the TD1, right? Same way here also. When the person enters, this is a Canadian employee. So this person works in the Global Modern Services Limited Canada. And if we talk about a US employee, let me just pull out a US employee. Any name, Jessica? So here again, we have the same concept, add worker US tax elections. Okay. And here, if you see here, there are a lot of options, but yes, you have the, as I mentioned, that you'll have a withholding certificate and a calculation sheet from which you can get the amounts and various details. So what is important is here the number of allowances. Like for example, whether you're single or married, so that's the first step. Let's say married, and the number of allowances the person is going to take. Maybe I've seen 4, 5, 6, sometimes no amount, maybe 5. Okay, and then you can have various other options, additional amount. So this is on the federal side. Then you have certain other field also, lock-in letter. Lock-in letter is something, lock to letter, right? So that is something when the IRS authority, they feel that the tax deducted is less, right? So they can send a instruction to withhold more tax to the employer for the employee. So everything has a significance. Every field has got a significance like that. But if you go through the withholding exemption, that the link which I had shared, I'll share that also. And if you go through that and you read through the form, you'll come to know, you'll be able to correlate what is the field and how it has to be populated here by the employee. Okay. So then you have this option, unemployment insurance. This we just spoke about, right? Unemployment insurance. So in case you want to exempt it for any reasons, you can exempt it. So the employee will not have a deduction on grounds of unemployment insurance. Then Medicare again.
So as a
You
functional
can here we
consultant,
can exempt from Medicare.
sorry, Vaibhav, one quick question.
Yeah, sure,
As a
sure.
functional consultant,
Yeah.
Do we have to do this kind of work? Like you were mentioning something, right? Once our worker enters, sometimes we may have to go and change. So,
Yes, yes. So I highlighted two tasks right here. Let me just,
right.
yeah. So there could be some tasks. Most of the tasks, see, most of the tasks you will, the employee will do on his own. Like they can do the elections and everything. But sometimes you may get, not as a functional consultant, I would say, as a payroll officer or a payroll administrator, you may get a request like that to correct in the system. So for that, I think this was the one I showed you, right? So why I'm highlighting these activities are, these are specific activities you may have to do when it comes to working in, as a part of, as a HRIS, payroll HRIS analyst, or as a uh, payroll administrator. So these are tasks you will be, you have to do. And I think the same thing you'll have to kind of during the interview discussions also you'll have to mention, right? So, so that's the reason I'm highlighting all this, the various tasks. Okay.
So for this task purpose, we need to know how to read that document in the link which you're going to send us later.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that link I'll send it to you. It's available in IRS also. And yes, that will give you a better understanding on what has to be populated. But as I said, right, you don't have to be really a master on that part, because most of the information you will have with you, right? So what
Okay.
changes you have to do? So you already have a kind of a, so IT world works on copy paste and you get the information handy. But if you want to develop knowledge, it's always good. So in any case, you don't need the knowledge to do that. Only you need the information to do that. So that you will have in real time.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the form I was talking about. Okay, so tax withholding certificate can help you reduce the tax withhold that is being made on your gross income. So of course, if we go through the certificate, we'll come to know that what all exemptions we can uh, like have on our existing pay. Okay, so this is there. Apart from this, I think there are like some setups with respect to the US tax, and those are company related tax like company EIN and the multi jurisdiction. So there is a list of tasks, but what will happen is those tasks you will hardly touch at any point of time. But yes, those tasks sometimes a functional consultant may touch. So there is a list of tasks, around 4 to 5 tasks, but I think only one task may be there which functional consultant may touch, that too very rarely. But rest of the things are like you can say fixed. So 4 or 5 tasks are there. The list I'll give you, right? I mean, I don't have it right now, but I'll provide you that list. But we don't have to do much on that front. What a functional consultant will have to do with respect to taxes, if I talk about it, if you're, let's say, an implementer, what he has to do with respect to taxes, right? So I would say first thing definitely during the go live, let's say a go live happens uh, on 1st of April. Okay, so the first thing the functional consultant has to ensure with the help of testing and all, of assuming that yes, the previous, it's like the system is latest with the tax updates. So the tax being calculated for various federal, state, and local taxes are uh, accurate. Like what we do typically, what you'll do is like you'll have to calculate, like you run the payroll in the existing system, and you run the payroll in the new system, and then you match the values. So it's a very critical activity where you'll have to compare the values, the paychecks, the deductions, earnings, everything. Not even a cent difference should happen. So you have to do that uh, kind of a comparison between the system before you can say, okay, my payroll is kind of reconciled and we are good to go with the live system. So that is typically when it comes to taxation, point number one. Point number two, yes, an implementer HRIS analyst can have an option, will be required to do certain activities related to the payroll. So that I already highlighted, right? So these are couple of tags like options, but yes, a few more would be there. The running the reports on the taxation. But yeah, apart from that, I don't think there is much which a payroll consultant will have to do. Okay, so but yeah, we'll keep on talking about these taxes as we go on. We have, I think, the payroll processing, and there's a huge kind of practical activities which will be coming in going forward. And in that, all these taxes and everything will be covered. So we'll revisit the topic as well once. So it'll keep on continuing now. So let's do one thing now. We will just go into the tenant and we will process the payroll. We'll just take the existing pay group, let it be semi-monthly or bi-weekly. We will run it. We will see the various statuses. We'll try to input some payroll input for any employee, and then we'll again rerun it. And then we'll finally cancel the payroll also. And the same exercise you will do once as a homework, you can say. So you'll have to do that activity.
Hey, Vaibhav.
Yes.
One quick thing before you go for the payroll processing. The ones you highlighted are the tasks, right? For the payroll admin or a HRIS analyst. Can you show that in the tenant, and as well as any one sample report which we have to generate, or any kind of example? Can you show us?
Yeah. So here, right? So this one. Yeah. So if we see here, worker US tax selection report, we'll just try to search for that. If we have the security access, we should get it. Let's see.
Can see your tenant.
Oh, you can't see? Okay. So now, from now on, I think it will be more interesting because we are entering into practicals now, and now we will start processing the payroll, and what all we discussed right now, it'll come into effect going forward. So please do your practicals also once the class is over. Okay. So here we are just trying to see. Worker tax election, I think this is the worker US tax election. So here, federal elections, edit. So this is the option which we spoke about, the one which is marked in yellow. So you have the option to edit here, if you see here. Okay.
Yeah, so usually in real time, like you will get it for a handful of workers, or you would get it for a lot of workers, like 200, 300?
No. It'll be a handful only, because it could be a request that, okay, this particular pay cycle, my withholdings have changed, and I need. It could be an email request. Most probably, that is what I have seen. Right? It comes as an email request where this has to be corrected. But some employees are kind of they know that they have to select this option from the self-service. So it varies from user to user, right? So sometimes you may get a request and you should know that, okay, before the payroll cutoff, you should do it. For example, user has requested, now user is on leave. Okay, and now you are processing the payroll and it has to go with before the payroll cut off. Your user is unreachable. What do? So these are like this is a typical scenario I gave you, and in this case, since user already requested, you have to update this, and the same will be taken into consideration when you process the payroll. Okay, so likewise, so it will never be bulk thing. It will be only, you can say, one-off, and it could frequent request also it can come, but yes, there will never be a mass request like that. Okay, so what was the second item we spoke about? Okay, so here also I think it's the same worker tax selection. Here the employee has not changed the company, correct? So again, if we just go to Jessica Crawford, right? So the scenario which we are trying to create here is like worker is there, and see by default the company is Global Modern Service USA. That's the only option. But if the employee has changed the company, you will get another option, the second company, and you have to select the second company, and then you have to add the elections withholdings. So try this. Okay, maybe you can do one thing. You can try moving a employee from one company to another. Right? You do a moment of supervisory organization in the process. He also moves from one company to another. Try to create that scenario and try to access this. So you'll find one more company here where you have to select and you have to add the entry, withholding entry for federal, state, local. Okay. Okay. So can we move to the payroll processing now? Okay, then we'll move. So I'm just going to the tenant. Let me know if somebody is not able to see the tenant. So this is the pay cycle command center. You must have already seen a demo also, and many times I think we would have visited this page, right? And what today we will do is we will try to run the pay calculation, which is a process on the right side, if you see under the processing, and we will try to identify uh, an existing pay group payroll. Okay, so we'll try to run that. So the plan here is first we will run the existing ones. Okay, and we'll try to add some elements, see the results and all. Then uh, at a later stage, maybe tomorrow or day after, not tomorrow, day after tomorrow, some Friday, we'll also get into that, that we include our own pay group. We process our own pay group members. So let's say you create one pay group, you have 5 members. For all those 5 members, let's say all are new hires. So what we'll do is step 1, we will have the 5 members hired. Okay, and in one of the supervisory organization, and we have some compensation, base pay and allowance, bare minimum will keep. And then for those 5 members, we will process the payroll. And what we need to do is we have the compensation element. We have to create the earnings also, 1 or 2 deductions also. So that is a later stage. So we will come to that. So today we'll just process the existing payroll. So let me just pull out one pay group, any one, bi-weekly or weekly. Let me just see. We have a weekly pay group for a change. Weekly, US weekly. So we do have weekly. So let me just try weekly now. Okay, so we have this US weekly. Let's see how many, if we have any members, how many members are there. So we have 15 members. So I think this is a good payroll, pay group. So let's process this. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm just trying to have a look. What is the last payroll run for this weekly pay group? Okay. Okay, so what we have here is pay group is this, run category, period schedule, all is good. Current period in progress is this. Okay. Next period to process is this. Okay. So let me just take a note of this. 710 and 1310. So it's a weekly payroll. Okay. And it also tells you last period completed. So all these are important information. So last period completed also it is. So we have to process here 710 to 1310. So that is the one. So let us go to the system. Let me see if you can directly search run pay calculation, because every time we have to go to the dashboard, right? Yeah, so this is a very important page, guys. So this task is basically used for running the on-cycle payroll. Okay, every pay period. So we'll just try to find out our USA weekly payroll. USA periods to calculate. Hang on. USA weekly. Okay, so quarterly is usually they use for the bonus and all, but the regular one is this 710 to 1310. So that's an old one. You can also try. Here we have a couple of options also, and every option is like as per Workday, the first run when you do for the payroll, it should be for the entire set of employees. So we saw around 15 to 17 members. So as per the payroll, the first run which you do is for with the option smart calculation. Okay, so what will happen is it will process for entire 15 to 17 employees. We can also see some options like here already once it is run. So in progress, okay, and off cycle also some options you'll see. But right now you just select this option and we'll just see. Okay, one thing is there when we select this option, it takes some time to run. I mean, like maybe for a bigger population it will be further more, but this one also I think it will take around 4 minutes at least, 3 to 4 minutes should take. So I'll run it later before I need to explain you all these options. So smart calculation is for running the entire payroll. Then you have second option, smart calculation based on events. So anybody, what is event? Somebody from core HR who has done the course on core HR in Workday?
Like a bonus or any particular quarterly bonus or any event.
Yeah. So yeah, so you can say bonus, but yeah, any event on worker record you can say. So if you see the options here, so any compensation change happened. For example, you ran the payroll for 15 employees. And after that, when the payroll is in progress, a compensation change happened. Of course, that will impact his paycheck. So then we will rerun the payroll with this option, compensation change. Okay. So which all employees have this compensation change, all those employees will be recalculated. For them, the paycheck will be recalculated. Likewise, if you have payroll input, so for some of the employees, you had added some one-time positive input. Once the payroll has run for the current period, then again, you have to rerun with the option payroll event, because an event has happened for out of those, for example, 15 employees, 4 employees, you entered payroll input. So that event has to be reprocessed with the current payroll. So that is the option. Then other options also there, worker data change, worker tax change. So tax change typically will be like withholding changes. So previous payroll, it was 1, right? 1 withholding. Now the employee said, okay, I want 3 withholdings. So that means his tax will differ as compared to the previous pay period. So how that will happen? So one thing is, of course, you have entered the worker election as I showed you in the system, right? So you edited the worker election, or worker himself edited. So that is first thing that has to happen before the payroll cutoff. And then subsequently, let's say if it hasn't happened before the payroll cutoff and the payroll is in progress. So what we do in the second run, we will select this worker tax changes. So this is a very common activity which will happen. And in fact, you should also try that once you're doing for your set of employees. These are typical scenarios which you should try. So you have an example like Joshua or any other employee you picked up, right? Just try to change the tax, and first you run the payroll, and then you see that what is the tax for the employee. Then you try adding the elections, then rerun using the smart calculation based on event using the worker tax, and then then see the paycheck. So every option here will impact the paycheck. An event will be not for one employee, it could be for multiple employees. In real time, you will have one pay group may have thousands of employees. It is like it is a GMS instance. So you may have 15, 17, but which is actually good for the understanding. But in real time, you may have much more, 400, 500, something like that. Then you have job change, any job change also, any location change also, if you have any location change which has happened. So all those things will be selected here. Then based on result status, so all statuses, if I show you. So what are these statuses? So every payroll run, right? So worker calculation status will change. Some employees may be on error, or some employees you would have put on hold. Hold also I'll explain you in later sessions. So some employees will be in progress, not yet started. So you would like to process only employees on hold. For example, let's say you ran the payroll and some of the employees had some issues and you had to get a clarification from the payroll department and the director. Okay. And that is the reason you had put those employees on hold. And now you only want to process the employees who are on hold. So then you select this option. Okay. Because the reason why you're not, you would not like to run the entire payroll is because in real time you may have 600 employees. And if you know that you are only going to process the employees who are put on hold due to some clarification, then in that case you would like to process only for the on hold employees. Correct? So that will reduce the subset. So the whole idea is to optimize our processing. We should not first one has to be complete, which takes time. In fact, in real time, it takes more time also. I've seen up till 1 hour, 45 minutes or 2 hours also. And if you do not select these options, or if the options are not provided, what will happen is every time you do a payroll correction, you have to run the entire payroll, which is not advisable, which is a performance overhead as well. Okay. So these are the various options, and some will be like require recalculation, right? So there are like a couple of options are there, like this statuses. So based on this also you can select. And then if you want to select only a specific worker, like for example, like for 3 workers only, you have to include the corrections. So here you will just go and select the worker. So those are the options. So let us now do one thing. I'm just thinking because first definitely you'll have to run this. So shall we run this? Because it may take some time. And I want to show you the other second, third part also.
Can't we do in different tabs, Vaibhav?
The tabs is fine, but what will happen is this smart calculation when you select, right? So it will run and there is a processing time. So in the process monitor, it will take some 5-7 minutes
Yeah.
like that. Okay. So let me just see what is the current status of this. But for you, okay, let's do one thing. Let me cancel the run pay cancel. Okay. So I'll take this task first. Let me do it. I think I should be because it's getting recorded, right? So let's do it. Okay, monthly. Okay, so here we are trying to select the pay period. Okay, and I'm right now canceling it so that I can show you afresh what's going on in the processing. Okay.
So we are here we are canceling the very old
No,
pair,
we are, yeah.
right?
Yeah, so what we are trying to do here is, I'm just trying to cancel this. Okay, let me just cancel this. Why we are canceling it is, we already saw that the payroll for this pay period 7/10 to 13/10 it is in progress. Okay, and we want it to be reverted because I want to show you from the start. So what we'll do is, we will select the same thing. I'll cancel it here and we'll select the same pay group and period, and we will rerun it. So that is one option, so that the entire steps get recorded. Second option is we don't cancel it. Whatever is in progress, we are okay with that and we will continue from there. So guys, you tell me which option you want.
Let's do it from the beginning.
Yeah, let's do it from the beginning,
Okay.
Vaibhav, so that we can write down the steps also.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking, that it will get recorded and you will be able to follow those steps, and then you can do it in the tenant later. Okay, so
Yeah, sure.
let's okay. So I'm just canceling the current pay run. So let us see. This is what is the process monitor. Uh, you see here, I canceled it. Okay, the status is completed. If you see status completed, sometimes it will error also, and you can see errors in the messages. So this is something you should know, that once you trigger the process, it goes to the process monitor where you can see the details of the process. And right now, it's all done. The process has successfully completed, so there is no message. Otherwise, if there is error, there will be messages as well. Okay. So now let us do one thing. I'll run the pay calculation, pay calculation task. This is for US weekly. So I'm just picking up the value. Now, if you see down below, payroll group to be processed, it's all 0. Remember, there was like entries here, in progress was 1, and we had off cycle entry also here.
Yes.
Okay, so that's cleaned up now. And I am going to click on this smart calculation because that is the first step you should do when you're running the payroll afresh. Okay, and right now we will use the existing set of employees, existing configuration, everything. Okay, so let me click on smart calculation. It may take some time, 2, 3, 4 minutes. So no worries. Let's click on it.
So again, Vaibhav, this task is done by the business team, right?
Yes, payroll team. You'll have
Payroll team.
yes, you'll have many payrolls to process during the every pay cycle. So entire month also the payroll team is busy. Why they're busy, right? So first thing is definitely they have to do very frequent payroll runs because see the payment for a weekly payroll is different. Payment date for a semi-monthly is different. For a bi-weekly it's different. So every time the payroll team is busy only. So because the data has to be there before the cutoff, correct? Number of errors. Okay, so see our GMS tenant, right? So we have number of errors here. So let us see what are the errors. Don't worry, in real time you will not have these many errors. You may have lesser errors, but okay, let us see what exactly is the error. So errors, 13 errors. Okay, pay calculation status is in error. Okay. Okay, instance value calculation comment. Okay. Okay, this is more of a technical error. So this is a more of a technical GMS error. So I think every employee will have this error. So the best smart way of doing now is like we'll just try to see some other uh, pay group. But in other pay group also the error may come similar error because see if you see here, it's a purely a technical error. Instance value calculation compensation review base pay current amount refers to an invalid class report field. No instance for non-static method. Expresso call stack. It's purely a technical error. So in this case, what will happen is you'll have to report to the technical team. You cannot do anything here. But other than that, you will also have errors which are purely data errors that you can handle. So that is something you can handle. Yeah. So, okay, guys, just give me a sec. I'll be back. One second. Okay, guys. So I don't think we can resolve this one, and I am actually doubting if we can run. Let's try one more pay group, okay, for a semi-monthly. If we are able to process that. But yes, definitely, I'll just ask the organizer also once that this has to be fixed. Okay, so let me just try one more pay group. So let us select this US semi-monthly professional corporate. US semi-monthly professional corporate. Okay, so let us see. Okay, so next pay period to process is 1610 to 3110. Okay, so this is in progress. Now, let us try this. So I don't see any uh, payroll run for this one. So let's try this one. Keeping my fingers crossed. Let's see. No, yeah. I mean, this is because the thing is, if we go here, see, this is a tenant issue, right? You do any payroll run, it will be tenant issue. I'll talk to the organizer on this one. Okay, so because see, for every employee, it's the same error. If you see the null value, okay. So I'll talk to the organizer on this one because you should be able to process the payroll successfully. Then only you can implement more scenarios. So this is like the core thing, right? Where you have to. I'll just talk to the organizer also that this has to be fixed.
Viber, one question here. So when you have to, so they give us a task saying that, hey, you need to run the payroll. So if, say suppose semi-monthly or weekly, so we will check. So we run the payroll one day before that, or we run on the payment date.
No, we don't run the
So
payment. Yeah. You can run because payment date is fixed. Payment date doesn't have the any relation to the date on which you are running it. So you can run it 2 days before also. That's not a problem. So period begin date, period end date, payment dates are fixed for any uh, the pay group. Basically, pay group and the period IDs you are associated to that. and the task can be done anytime before.
So what is a good practice? Like when do we, like for example, in this case, the semi-monthly starts from 10:16 and end at 10:31. So we know that this semi-monthly is coming up and we need to run the payroll for this semi-monthly. So what's a good practice that we need to run the payroll for this in this
Yeah.
case? Just
Yeah,
to-
so
Yeah.
good practice is to have the payroll cutoff date for this run by 6th of the month, 6th of October, and you should run the payroll by 11th or 12th of October. So that should be good.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have to give that time to yourself. It's not about one is good practice, and other thing is it's a very critical activity. So you must be like starting everything in advance, because any employee's pay is like on hold. Like for example, this instance also, this is not something very rare scenario. There could be an instance that okay, you started payroll and it bombed. Now if you do that activity on 15th or 14th, then it will be a pressure on you. So you have to, and in any payroll department, they plan the activities well in advance. So they will even have like 10 days or 12 days, like, and not only payroll, even I have seen for compensation also, they will, anything which is impacting the pay for the employee, it has to be planned and executed well in advance. So here you have to run the payroll by 11th, I would say 10th or 11th. Okay.
Yeah, just in case if we run into errors or issues, we need to be able to resolve before the. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, but one thing is there that you will have the cutoff date. So cutoff date, that is something payroll director decides. So what is the cutoff date? And the thing is, one run you will do and keep it ready. Let it be in progress. So that will actually give you an idea that okay, payroll is now fine. Payroll doesn't have any issue. Then if let's say there are last minute additions or anything near to the cutoff date, then those entries for that you will again do a smart call calculation based on the events or for specific worker or specific statuses that you will keep on doing. And finally, you will complete the payroll. So yeah, so the mantra
Sure.
is to plan in advance. Okay, so here
So
also
any sorry, Vaibhav. So any example or anything you can give for data errors or something which are commonly found, except for the technical one which we saw now while running payroll. Like if they ask us, like what is the challenges you faced or something like that in the interview. So what could be the general scenario which we could say, like we face this kind of issue while running the payroll? Except for the technical one, I understood.
yes,
But the
for
other
interviews
one.
I'll definitely give you questions also. Yeah. So for interviews definitely I'll give you questions also. What questions you should prepare. But yeah, so typically if you talk about a data issue, right? So data issues could be related to your earning, whatever you configured, right? So that could be uh, part of data issue. For example, you configured earning properly. Okay, so in that case, what has happened is the earning is not showing in the paycheck. So what will happen? What do you do in this case? So in this case, you'll have to reconfigure the earning. And just to let you know, Workday expects that if you change a configuration, then you have to rerun the payroll again for all set of employees. So there are two things. One is the configuration. You change the configuration, earning, deduction, configurations and all, or any kind of pay component group. So any high level configuration, if you changed, the payroll has to be rerun for all the members in the pay group. So that is on the configuration part. So you can have various kind of issues like that, like employees benefit related issue also can be there. Maybe an employee is there on the paycheck, but there is some like he is not tagged to any benefit plan. There is no benefit plan found. It's a benefit deduction, but there is no benefit plan found. So that is also a kind of a typical scenario. But yeah, you should classify whether it's a configuration issue or whether it's a data issue. So If it's a earning configuration issue or deduction configuration issue, entire payroll has to run again for all the members. But if it's a specific data issue, you can correct the data for the employee and you can run the payroll for that specific worker. So for example, garnishments got messed up, or garnishment, there was an amended order which was to be entered, and that's kind of mandatory. So you enter the order and then you run it, okay? Or probably there is some issue or some error which you found in like the calculation for the disposable earning. The element could not be resolved for garnishment due to the calculation for the disposable earning. So in that case also you'll have to go and check the setup. So that comes on the troubleshooting part, but you have to be very careful when it comes to payroll. What exactly is the item which functional person has to handle and what has to immediately go to technical person, technical consultant. So that is something you should be very clear on. Okay. Okay, so here it says completed with errors. So let me just see if we have any paychecks for this period. Do we have any? It does say completed with errors. I'm just checking that if the paycheck is generated for this employee. So what is the pay group? Okay, this one. Okay, so let's try to see. Oh, that's a good number, 48. Okay. So let us navigate and try to find out if some paycheck is generated for any of the employee. Yeah, so here, Allison Hunter. So we'll just go to this record, Allison Hunter. Is the name spelled correctly? Allison. Okay, so yeah, I think we can find the entry here on the right side, message text. This error is here. So I'm just trying to find out if something got generated for this period. Payroll results. Let's view the pay. Okay, so we have some data here. Okay. And that's for the current payroll run only. So what it has done is it has done the calculation, but it will not let you complete the payroll. So that's okay. I mean, I think we can continue for the time being with this. So I'm just trying to see if we have got some other element also. We'll try to add some payroll input for this employee. Okay, and we'll try to rerun the process. Okay, just a second. Okay, so let's do one thing now. I'll just add some payroll input for Alison Hunter. Alison Hunter. So hopefully, if the configuration is all good, it should pick up. Otherwise, we have to troubleshoot the configuration. But this is actually the real-time thing which will happen with you. Okay. So we have the add inputs. So the plan here is to add the payroll input and rerun the payroll. Let us see if that reflects on this paycheck. So I'll just give a one time 1610. Okay, so let us select this clinical pay USA. One time. So it's a one-time processing, and we are just trying to select the regular run because we are going to process this particular one-time payment in the regular run. And let's click on okay. Batch ID and all, like in the integration, we'll talk on the batch ID. So right now we'll just add the amount. Okay, so it is configured only with the hours. Okay. Okay, so I'll just add one more. Any other existing element anybody would have explored? Mobile, car, project. Okay, so let's see project allowance. On call. Okay. I'm just looking for one amount one. So on call is again hours. Or maybe we'll just add commission. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so I'll rerun the calculation now. US semi-monthly, right? US semi-monthly.
Yes, Vaibhav. It was semi-monthly actually. 7, I think, 10/16 to 10/31.
US semi-monthly. I think this was the one. Professional corporate. Yeah, this one. Okay. So we'll just select this and we'll just select, since we are given payroll inputs, we'll select this. Okay. So let us see if the process picks up. Again, it will go into error because the technical error is there. I'm just trying to see if we can add the payroll input in the existing paycheck. Okay. Okay. So let's run it. Error. No, it's, this process has to run to success. I mean, I think there is some issue. So the main thing is like it would have run initially successfully, then it is now erroring out. Okay. And error is a technical error because you will have to frequently run this process. And once you run it, you will see the effect also. It will pick up the values again. So these are old data. The data has not got refreshed here.
So if it get refreshed, Vaibhav, where can we see the payroll inputs just now what we have added?
Yes. So if you are adding it, okay. So if you see the gross to net, for every pay period there is a gross to net, right? So you have the pay components here. Okay. In the others you will see. In the down below others you will see. Okay. The ones which we have added. So on the top, if you see, you have the earnings, then the benefits, these are deductions, then these are taxes, and then the other earnings, which are the one-time earnings and all, you'll see down below. So yeah, I think that is the activity you have to do. And in order to proceed with the activity, this error has to be fixed. It's a technical error. And once you do the entire set of activities, what I basically need is like you do some events in the system and try running the payroll again and again, and try to resolve those. And that will also answer your question that what happens in real time. So that's what happens in real time. You run the payroll, it's in progress, and there is some error on the worker data, or there could be kind of a data which is a IRS data, mandatory data, and it has to be processed in the payroll. So and you do the entry, right, or some changes happen in the system, right? Location change, or maybe hire is there, which has happened in the mid of pay period. Scenarios are there. There are many scenarios which come into consideration. And for that, you have to take a decision along with, of course, your payroll director. You will not alone take the decision whether to be included and not included, what all to process, and what all can be deferred for the next processing. So those are decisions to be taken along with the payroll director support. Yeah. So and once you do all these activities, you just there are two things you will do. Either if you're not satisfied with the entire process, you have to just cancel the payroll run. So as I showed you, run payroll cancel. If you're satisfied with the process, you have to go to the next step. Next step is to complete the payroll. I think run payroll complete task, if you can search. So I would recommend right now, do not complete the task. First, you do the entire scenarios. And I want you guys to be hands-on now and try to explore as many things on the dashboard as you can. And especially this payroll run, right? You do a payroll run. Once this issue is fixed, you should do a payroll run and try to incorporate more scenarios so that you can see the changes. Then you also try to have your own setup, the one which you did, right? You created your own pay group and you had members. You assign some base compensation to them, allowance, everything. And then you, once you do the hire, of course, we'll just disable the BP approvals. I'll do that. And you do the hire and then assign the pay group, your own pay group. And then for those employees, your compensation allowance is aligned to the earning. That setup I already told you. And for these employees, which are a member of your pay group, you try to run the payroll and see what errors you get. So you can do one thing, you can have your own earning sets and deduction sets, but if you're not convenient and not comfortable, then you can also use the existing earnings, process the existing earnings or existing deductions for the members of your pay group. And if you see here, it already starts showing up. And I can see here that some people, they have created their own pay group, which is actually reflecting here. I think this AS pay group wash. So these are like, I think created by some of you guys only, I guess, right? So it will show up on a dashboard, and then the subsequent step is like you process your own payroll.
So, Vaibhav, one thing that AS pay group 1 is mine, but I don't remember that I have assigned this worker to that pay group. I don't remember. Is it just because I created a semi-monthly, that's why it fell? Because if you see, I just took John Chen, I remember. Assigned him. But then how come it had, this pay group has picked up? Just because it's a semi-monthly, or?
No, did you, you would have added the pay group and then added it to the pay run group, everything you would have done, right? So unknowingly,
yes, I did that.
Yeah, you would have taken the step. And once you add it to the pay run group, it becomes like a bunch of pay groups will be processed with one pay run group, right? So your pay group will be a part of that pay run group as well. And it starts reflecting here. So yeah, that is the level I want at a later stage, not this stage, but yes, I think start playing with this dashboard, right? The pay cycle dashboard, because and especially the pay calculation part, I want you to try running it and try different scenarios and its impact on the paycheck. So we'll spend some time here, right? Because this is, you can say, the core, and we'll spend some time going back and forth on these dashboards. Okay. Yeah, I think for now it is okay. And the action item for me is I need to send you the links for the IRS link for the withholding certificate. Second action item for me is like organizer. I need to just check with him on this error and if it can be resolved, because we need it to be resolved. And on your side, you should just navigate to the payroll calculation, trigger some, let it go in errors, not a problem. Then trigger some pay calculation for weekly, bi-weekly, fortnightly, monthly for Canada, US. Try to see how it like try to analyze the data and try to see how the check comes up. Try to use the process basically. Okay, guys, I think that is it for today. Tomorrow there will not be any class, but day after tomorrow there will be a class at the same time. Okay.
Okay, Vaibhav.
Okay. So yeah, I think that is it. Thank you. Good day.
Sure, well, thanks. Have a good day. Bye.
Happy New Year, Vaibhav. Advance wishes.
Thank you. Same to you. Same
Thank
to
you.
all. Everyone.
Yeah, happy New Year. Yeah.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.